This is Jonathan Agatha for Pro Boxing Fans, joined by promoter Eddie Hearn. It's Chisora Pulev 2 fight week. We thought it'd already just begun in the ring. Does that just sum up what's going on this week and what the build-up's been about?
I can't believe I wasn't in the middle of it, you know. But this is going to get lively, particularly tomorrow at the press conference. But we'll see, you know. But both guys, they respect each other, but both guys are desperate to win. They must win. You know, it's come to that point in their career right now. It's a must-win fight for both, and I think we're going to get a great fight.
You made comments saying that you would advise Derek Chisora to retire if he loses. Is that something you stand by?
But you know why? Because he won't take an easy fight. So, like, the reason he keeps losing is because he's not as good as the guys he's fighting. That's what happens in sport and in life. But when you're fighting, like, Derek Chisora is better than 99% of heavyweights in the world. But unfortunately, he keeps fighting the 1%. So he's not good enough to beat Usyk, Tyson Fury, Vitaly Klitschko, Dillian Whyte, although they were very competitive fights. You know? So can he beat Kubrat Pulev? It's a tough ask, to be honest with you, but he'll give it everything at the O2 on Saturday.
Given sort of the amount of promoters that are in the game now and the fact that Derek Chisora runs as a free agent, I believe, was it difficult to get him to fight, or was it just, you know, he wanted the fight, he wanted to work with you and DAZN?
We've got a very good relationship. We're very honest, we pay on time, and we always do what we say we're going to do, and he respects that. He's worked with a lot of promoters in the past. I'm happy to work as free agents with a lot of these fighters, because when you've got a huge budget, sometimes the obligation to fighters means that you can't make the fights that you want to make, or fights that are relevant to the fans, or fights that are decent. You know, sometimes you spend so much money trying to sign talent, you haven't got any money for the budget, or you'll say to the talent, you can have two easy ones. I've done it loads of times before. You know, I don't want to make that mistake. I'd rather sit with a huge budget and make the fights that you want to make, rather than having a fighter that you're obligated to make shit fights for. So, you know, Derek is a guy you can always make great fights for. So he's great to work with.
I spoke to Pulev's manager, Bivol, at the first press conference. He said that number one, Pulev's going for the knockout in this fight, and two, he had COVID going into the Joshua fight. Still put up, I thought, a pretty good performance. So what are you expecting from him?
I think that he's the favourite in this fight. You know, I think this is a really, really good fight between two guys that are desperate to win. Two world-class heavyweights, in my opinion. Still, even Chisora, you know, with those defeats, and he's got to get in there somehow. You know, he's got to get up close and he's got to make it count.
How many are you expecting at the O2 on Saturday?
7,000.
Just want to go back to last week's AJ Usyk press conference. Some people saying Joshua was too nice, doing selfies. What's your reaction?
Don't worry about it. The only thing that matters is in the ring. We're like 9 weeks away. All this stuff, who won their head-to-head, or like, AJ's ready. He knows what he's got to do. He shared the ring with Usyk before. It's a very tough night's work, but he'll give it everything he's got, and I believe that he will be world heavyweight champion on August 20th.
Are people reading too much into the challenge? I mean, I saw Carl Froch say he needs a brain transplant to win it. Do you think people are reading too much, or is it that difficult?
It's a very difficult fight, because you've got to solve the puzzle of Oleksandr Usyk. He's incredible. He's a pound-for-pound generational great, Oleksandr Usyk. And I believe AJ can beat him. And if he does, let's make sure we give him the credit he deserves.
Couple quick ones. Conor Benn, what's the latest? Who are you looking at?
We want the Keith Thurman fight. I've had a million questions here today about Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. We're not in final negotiations about that fight. It's a fight that always gets brought up because, of course, it's like one of the biggest fights of all time. But you know, right now we're focused on the welterweight division, and hopefully that'll be Keith Thurman.
Would that have to be ordered? Because, you know, would Keith Thurman come to DAZN?
Look, you know, he's a big star, Conor Benn. You know, we got the money to make sure that we can do that. Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
And you made comments saying you'd like to make the Bivol fight with Bob Arum. Where does Buatsi fit into these plans?
Well, we want Buatsi to fight Bivol. We've made an offer now to Buatsi to fight Bivol, which we want to make sure he's happy with, and hopefully we can make that fight. It's not done yet, it's not signed, but we're seeing if we can make the numbers work. And Callum Smith's got a final eliminator for Beterbiev as well, and everything's coming together.
Is that likely to land on the AJ?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. And we saw Jake Paul, Tommy Fury cancelled. Reaction? I mean, I know it's not got nothing to do with you, but what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I don't know the ins and outs, but obviously it doesn't look great for anybody. But on they go, and I'm sure he'll find another opponent.
Does he beat Hasim Rahman Jr. in your opinion?
I think it's a very clever bit of matchmaking, but it's a decent enough fight.
Just final one. Saw some comments from Joe Markowski saying that he doesn't really like the promoters going back and forth, and he gets some slaps on the wrist. Did you see Frank Warren's comments?
Oh, he hit me around the side of the head.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to hit Frank around the side of the head because his head's always moving. Sorry.
We'll leave it there, Eddie.